Welcome to Nate State. College football starts here.
Yeah. All right. Episode 1 of the Nate State podcast. And today we have a very special guest to kick off the season. Redshirt freshman quarterback from the University of South Carolina, Colten Gauthier. Colten, so glad you could be here today, man.
Appreciate you having me on, dude. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is Nate State. That's a new platform for college football where athletes can come on, tell their stories. But there's so much more to the brand that we're going to be talking about later in the episode, including starting a nonprofit to help kids from around the country who are facing tough illnesses and life-threatening diseases. We'll get into that later. But Colten, I want to go ahead and start off by talking about, your early childhood and your love for football and how you got into it. Who was your inspiration? And then also leading up to high school and college, when did you really kind of find out that this is something that not only I want to do, but something that you could actually go on to the next level and do?
Yeah, I started playing football at a really early age. I think I was 4 years old when I was in pads for the first time. And like I was telling you the other day, my dad was my coach all the way up till I was about, I'd say 13, right before I hit, the middle school stage. And really, it started out as just, it's something that you do as a kid, right? Like you're 3, 4 years old, you go in the backyard with your boys and you play tackle football. Like that's, kind of what we did. And so my dad played football up in Slippery Rock University, which is a D2 school up in Pittsburgh. So football through and through, it's in our blood. So, growing up, it was always just part of, what I did. Wake up early Saturday mornings to go watch football. Wake up on Sundays to watch football, Monday night football. I mean, it was just part of the family. It was just part of the thing that we did. So, starting out at an early age, my dad was my coach. He coached me all the way up until I was about 13. And when I was, you're so young when you play the game. Especially when I started out playing, it was just more of like, it's fun. You're learning lessons as you're young. You're getting hit when you're young. You're getting toughened up. I'm real fortunate to have my dad as my coach because, he taught me a lot of lessons off the field too that are still with me today, 100%. So, that was a blessing in itself. And to answer your question on kind of when it kind of the light bulb came on for me where it was, I was mature enough to understand what football can provide for me, how far I could actually, take the football thing. It really didn't hit me till about middle school when, when my dad was my coach, I was playing, I was catching the ball and running right and left and, I wasn't really throwing the ball too much. I wasn't really, playing quarterback. I was playing linebacker, free safety. I was just playing ball.
Right.
I was just learning ball and get familiar with the game. And then when I got to middle school, that was kind of the transition where I began to start the quarterback, the quarterback aura, the what I became. And 7th and 8th grades because they didn't let us play football in 6th grade. 7th and 8th grade was our middle school team, and I started obviously in 7th grade and. I was playing quarterback, 7th and 8th grade. I was playing a little bit of defense, but that's when it slowly started to turn into like quarterback-minded tunnel vision on this quarterback thing. And I got to high school, and I had a great time playing middle school ball, and it was just almost like a snowball effect since when I started, middle school. Okay, football, it's getting more serious, it's getting more mature. I'm starting to love it more and more and more. And every kid has nerves going into high school football, me included, and we're all human, right? So going into high school football, as a freshman, I was on JV. I was on the 9th grade team playing quarterback. I was still playing a little bit of defense at that point in my career, and it wasn't until halfway through my freshman year, and this is at Loganville High School, and I actually transferred out of Loganville High School to Hebron Christian Academy where I graduated, but I'm sure we'll touch on that in a minute. And it wasn't until about halfway through my freshman year when I got pulled up to varsity to play against our rivals because our starting quarterback had gotten hurt. And I don't remember our record exactly. I just know we weren't doing too hot at the start of the season. This is pretty early in the season, and I get pulled up, and I had a great game, and it was my first varsity game, and I was playing at the age of 14, and playing, Georgia high school football. I mean, I'm sure if you know anything about that, which I know you do, it's like it's everywhere there's competition. There's really no drop off, right? It's 1A, you're playing, 2A, you're playing, 3A, all the way up to 7A. Like, it's competition left and right. There is no drop off in the state of Georgia. Ended up doing really well, threw for like 3 touchdowns, and we won the game, which was a big deal. And kind of after that, I kind of reflected, okay, this just happened. What does this mean for me? What do I do next? What's the next step? And I kind of opened, especially for myself, I surprised myself a little bit too, going out there and doing what I did. And I ended up starting the next few games. Unfortunately, I think 2 or 3 games later, I got hurt. I was, $180 running around against 18-year-old dudes, playing at Buford and Clark Central, and all these dudes who are massive chasing after me. And I'm running for my life back there. But unfortunately, got hurt. And that was the decision after that season, because it became, okay, do I stay and, just kind of go through the motions, or do I transfer to somewhere where I can be laser focused, locked in, and it's just football from here on out? And the way that Hebron became into the picture was because of Jeff Saturday. For those who don't know who Jeff Saturday is, he was Peyton Manning's center for the Colts in Indianapolis for 15, 16 years. I mean, he was a 3-4-time Pro Bowler, won the Super Bowl. Like, dude's a stud, and you see him on ESPN breaking down NFL guys and stuff like that. And he was literally coaching like 10 minutes down the road from where I lived. And we didn't know this at the time. We were like, Jeff Saturday. And we were like, wait, like the Jeff Saturday. They're like, yeah, he's down there just coaching. And we're like, what? So we ended up stopping by at Hebron, and I, went and visited and sat down with Coach Saturday. And it really, we kind of explained to him what our vision was, what we wanted to do. And really, he sold us on the fact that he's not only going to develop me as, a football player, but he's going to develop me as a man. He'd teach me off the field lessons. He's going to continue the legacy of teaching young men lessons to learn from football. It's not just football, win-loss. It's like, okay, we win, what can we learn from it? Okay, we lose, what can we learn from it? Hold the door for, people when they walk by. Just little things like that they get overlooked. And he was kind of, a facilitator for those types of things for me. And so we kind of made that decision. A long way of answering your question. It was kind of after we decided to transfer from Loganville High School my freshman year, and we decided to get real serious and play for Coach Saturday. And sophomore year, I had a great year. I was still cutting my teeth and learning football, and just kind of out there just throwing the ball around, not really having a strategy to what I was doing. I was just playing ball. I was just being me. And then from there, after my sophomore year, I got a few offers, and then that's when it was kind of like, whoa, all right, here we go, man. It's about to take off, and it was kind of the snowball from there. So it wasn't like a point in time where I woke up one morning and I was like, oh, I want to be an NFL football player. It was an overtime. It was shaped over time by people who I met, by coaches, by my father. And that sort of thing. So it was a developed over time thing that really came to fruition. So yeah, man.
Yeah, and that you hit it right on the head. It takes time, and to develop your skills. You're developing your skills. You transfer to a new school, still trying to get the feel for things while still being a kid, right?
Right.
And you're having to grow up super fast.
Absolutely.
Kind of take us through and me through. And I went to Hebron too, so that was why Colten was the first person I called, even though, I'm a little bit older. We never knew each other at Hebron. Kind of bringing it full circle for the first episode to talk college football, to talk about life in general. Kind of walk us through that first phone call or that first letter that you got, and how exciting it was, and then moving forward, through the recruiting process.
Yeah. So my dad, like I mentioned earlier, went to Slippery Rock University. And so my freshman year, about midway through the season, this is after I played a few games, we actually drove up there to take a visit, and my dad was it was an alumni thing. My dad went there, so he was just going to hang out with his buddies, and I got to take a tour of the football facility and kind of see everything, and then that was my first offer was Slippery Rock, which was really cool because my dad went there, and it was real close to home for him, so it was a real emotional moment for us.
Absolutely.
And it was really cool to kind of get that one just to get the ball rolling, and I was like, oh my God, whoa, like somebody wants me to come play football for them at a college level, and they're willing to give me some financial aid or give me a scholarship, whatever it may be. Like I was just like, whoa, like just dumbfounded at that whole experience. And little did I know what was on the horizon was going to change my life and my family's life forever. And so that was kind of the first taste of the offer process. And then, like I was telling you the other day, Valdosta State was kind of the second school to kind of get involved, and this was about halfway through my sophomore year. They won the D2 National Championship the year that they recruited me, which was, pretty cool. And those guys that recruited me, who were Cade and Kerwin Bell, who were, fantastic coaches, they ended up getting a job at University of South Florida in Tampa under Charlie Strong when Coach Strong left Texas. Mm-hmm. So that's how that whole thing happened. And I'll touch on it, when we get into the recruiting process, but because I kept those relationships open and didn't burn any bridges and things like that, they took my recruitment from Valdosta State, and then they took me with them to University of South Florida, and they offered me there, which was my first D1 offer. So, this all happened within like a week, because when Valdosta State offered me, it was late into the season, and then they won the D2 National Championship, I believe, like a week and a half, 2 weeks after that offer happened. And then not even a week later, I get my first Division I offer, and I'm like, okay, whoa. Like, we're starting to play with fire here. We're starting to get into the big boy stuff. And that offer happened after my sophomore year of high school. And just that phone call in itself was super cool, and it was awesome. It was a great moment for me and my family. Just kind of be able to take it into account, like what actually was just happened, right? Like I don't have to worry, planning on it if everything goes right from sophomore year to senior year. You sign on the dotted line, then you're good, right? But like just the first offer, like the endless possibilities. Like my family doesn't have to, worry for school. I don't have to take out student loans. Like I can get my master's paid for if I do this right. And I'm thinking all these things at 15 years old, which I'm still, like I said, carrying on today. And a lot of that was because of, my family and Coach Saturday just, teaching me what this opportunity really, truly meant. And like I said, it was a great moment for me and my family. And then my second offer came from University of Central Florida, from Josh Heupel, who is now at Tennessee, and Jeff Levy, who was the OC at Ole Miss, who just got hired by Venables at Oklahoma.
Right.
And those two dudes are great, fantastic coaches. And I remember I was sitting at my kitchen table, and this one meant a lot to me because, like I was telling you the other day, I got a lot of family that lives right by Central Florida, literally 5 minutes away. My mom took classes there, even though she went to Florida State. She took some minor classes there. My cousins went there. My aunt and uncle went there. So there's a lot of, family root ties down there in that area. So it was, kind of an offer I was after a little bit. And I remember they came and watched a spring practice or something. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table, and Coach Heupel calls me, and Levy's on the phone too. And he's like, hey, man. And I had Slippery Rock, Valdosta State, and University of South Florida at the time. He's like, how many offers do you have? And I'm thinking just D1 offers, like, it's UCF. Like, I was like, I got one right now. He was like, well, you got two. You got one from University of Central Florida. And that was like, okay, here we go, man. That one meant a lot to me, like I said, because there's a lot of family ties down there. And then, like I said earlier, like it meant a lot, and I'm sure we'll touch on it when we get later in the podcast, the rest of the offers and how all that came about. But that was kind of the start, the first kind of taste of what it was like to kind of taste a little bit of success. And And it's crucial at that point because it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I just going to, okay, I got offers, I'm good. See you later. Or, no, this is only the beginning.
Right.
For me, I said this is only the beginning. I can't wait to see, what I can do with this. So that's, pretty much kind of how all that stuff shook out and happened.
No, it's got to be a great feeling, not only to get that first offer from Slippery Rock, but then you get to the Division I level offers. And knowing that, you're going to have your school paid once you sign the dotted line, like you said.
Right.
If you just put in the work and you keep at it, know.
Because there's a lot of scenarios where kids, they'll get 50 offers and then something happens or, they have a great sophomore year and then junior year they turn off the Jets. And it's like, where did this kid go? Senior year, he even goes back even further. Like, to me, it was always an attack mindset. It was always like sophomore year, all right, let's go. All right, junior year, big year. It's junior year, right? Junior year is the golden year of, recruiting. Let's go. Senior year, I didn't play to lose. I didn't play safely to get hurt. I played to win. Like I've always done that. That's always been something. Like, and it was funny because my coach was trying to teach me how to slide my senior year, and I was like, man, I ain't doing that. Like I'm gonna run somebody over. Like I didn't want any part of that. And there's probably some stupidity in that, but a little bit of stubbornness. But that's always been like my kind of play. Like, you go back and watch some of my tape from my high school years. Like if I see somebody, I'm gonna lower my shoulder and run you over, dude. I'm gonna make you pay. So that's always been kind of my mentality. But back to what you're saying, it's important because you can have all this success, and it's all up to you what you do with it after that. But yeah, you made a great point. Like, it's not certain until you sign your national letter of intent, until you sign that dotted line. Nothing is guaranteed. So that's a great point that I thought you brought up.
I want to touch on something you said. You probably may not even realize it when you talk about lowering your shoulder and taking on a hit. It's probably not the smartest idea.
Definitely, as a quarterback.
As you go into the next level, right? You face a lot bigger guys.
Now, I will say this: at the next level, that's probably not something. If it's like 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, like gotta have it, like goal line type stuff, then yes. But if it's like in high school, like it'd be 2nd and 10, and I'd break off and I'd scramble, and I'd have the first down, and I would just run somebody over in the open field. Like I never was like, okay, slide. Like it's like I'm coming. I got some size to me, so I'm going to use it. But in college, it's a little bit different because you're going against dudes who are 6'3", 240 pounds, who run 4.4s, and their job is to take your neck off. So knowing that as a quarterback, you got to protect yourself a little bit because, again, you are a quarterback, and you have to learn how to do that. But, yeah, definitely, dude, definitely.
Yeah, and like I said, I was just going to add to that point because I think it's important, and I think you would agree, to have authenticity, to be yourself, even the way you carry yourself on and off the field, that dog mentality, as a lot of guys will say. I think it's important. You see a guy like Matt Corral, right? From Ole Miss. I mean,
great example.
Unfortunately, he's taken on a lot of injuries, but he stayed true to who he was, and now he's made it to the next level.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great piece of advice. And
I got to hang with him a little bit when I visited Ole Miss, and I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, he's the same way he is on the field as he is off the field, and he's definitely a warrior and a fighter, and I'm excited to see what he does in the league, man. I think he's going to be really good. So we'll see, man. Yeah.
Absolutely, and we can touch on that another time in the podcast.
Yeah.
We're moving right along.
Yeah.
We'll take a small break from football. We'll do a little bit of a quote-unquote halftime show. I want to transition because a lot of fans, mostly casual fans, but fans in general, they see you on the field, they know your number, they know your name, but a lot of people don't get to see that person off the field.
Yeah.
And I think the best example that we discussed the other day is a guy like Vernon Davis, who's now retired out of the NFL, tight end, future Hall of Famer, I'm sure. He's very artistic. He spends a lot of time painting.
Yeah.
And
I think that's so sick, dude. Just like you said, like there's so many things that people don't realize, like, and that's a cool example, like painting and being into art and that kind of stuff. Man, I love all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a great point, man. Definitely.
So, moving in, taking that step forward, into this halftime show, Um, you know, you're really big into music.
Yeah.
You've shared it on your social media and throughout your life.
Yeah.
Kind of take us through who Colten is off the field, because you mentioned to me football is what I do, and obviously you love it, and you're going to try to play it as long as you can, as long as you're given the ability to do so. But when all that's over, what's next? How is Colten off the field?
Yeah.
How are you off the field?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, a lot, if you're a Carolina fan, a lot of you guys know that I play guitar, and I'm into the hard rock, the music, the Motley Crues, the Godsmacks, the Metallicas, the Guns N' Roses, and all that sort of thing. And that developed at an early age, again, because of my dad. My dad grew up in the 80s, and he was front and center in the mosh pits and at Motley Crue venues back in 82, 83, the glory days, man. He was in it, and he was surrounded by it. And obviously he's bled into, my personality and who I have become and still becoming as a young man. And there's a funny story, like when I was, my mom was pregnant with me, my dad would put a Walkman, which is, like the cassette tapes and the headphones, the old school Walkman, and would put it over my mom's stomach and would literally turn the volume up as loud as it could go and would just blast Metallica and Godsmack and Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses and Dokken and Queensryche and Quiet Riot and all of these, and Rat's a good one, and all of these amazing bands. And he wasn't thinking too much about it. He's like, yeah, I just like this music. Maybe he will too. Like it was that simple. Like it wasn't for anything particular. And then growing up as a kid, man, my dad had an acoustic guitar, and he doesn't even know where it came from. He just had it for so long before I was even born, and it would just sit in his office. And as a kid, I would always sneak up to his office, because as a kid, you're not really allowed to go in the office. There's papers in there that are important, and kids, you're throwing it around and doing all this sort of crazy stuff. And I would sneak my way into, like at 2 years old, I'd sneak my way into the office, and I would just grab the guitar, and I would just, feel it and play the strings. And I think I might have broke a string or two just by just pulling on it and smashing it and just getting familiar with the shape of the guitar. And then, I started to grow up a little bit, and there's a picture of me that I have on my phone. I'm probably 4 years old, and I have a little Flying V cherry red electric guitar, and I'm like, and it's a picture of me like that, and I'm like all in, like I got like the shirt on, I got a wig on, I got a headband, I got rings, I got a necklace, I got like the stick-on tattoos, like all that stuff, dude. So this wasn't really like, and some people say, oh, it's a phase. Like I went through that same phase. I was like, nah, dude, like this is me. Like, like this is who I am. And when I explain that to people, they're like, oh wow, like I didn't know you were doing this for so long. It's like, yeah, man. And for any hard rock fans watching this, my dad is best friends with a bass player whose name is Vinny Hornsby, and he is in Seven Dust, and they're a hard rock band out of Atlanta. Big time rock band. If you do your research on them, they're all over the place, got some great music. He was best friends with him when I was growing up. And Vinny used to come over to the house all the time, and he was a bass player and, songwriter and that sort of thing. So, he'd bring his bass over, and he was really the reason I started guitar. My dad kind of planted the seed, and the curiosity grew from there. But Vinny was kind of the reason where I actually picked up a guitar, and he was like, you put your finger here, it does this, so on and so forth. And I kind of took that and ran with it. And I grew up, again, there's pictures of me like 5, 6 years old, like on stage, and Vinny has his bass over me, and I'm playing in front of fans, and people are going crazy. And then there's, pictures of me playing the drums before they do the concert and throwing picks out to the crowd after the set. Like I grew up going to concerts and venues and around that atmosphere, and I loved it, dude. I loved it. And I wish I had that time back, because I didn't realize how special the opportunity that I was getting to experience and how wild it is, because I haven't done it in a while, because, I'm busy and all that kind of stuff doing ball. But I grew up around it, and as I've gotten older, I've stuck with the guitar, I've stuck with the music. And, you ask for, maybe what's next. Like football is the main thing right now, keep the main thing the main thing. I'm putting all my time and effort into that because, obviously I am where I am and I can't wait to see where I can take the football thing still. But, everybody hangs the cleats up at some point. It's, Tom Brady is going to have to do it at some point. And there's a 100% retirement rate in the game of football. So there is no guarantee, I could, it sounds crazy, but I could go out there and, and have a really bad injury and that'd be it. Yeah. And you didn't know. So, what's kind of next for me is, I'm kind of playing the guitar a little bit and studying music and studying these bands and why they're so great and why they sound the way that they do and who these people are. And, maybe one day, get a band together and try and make it in the music industry. I already have a great platform, with, the football thing. I'm trying to use, music as a tool, for football. Mm-hmm. And then maybe one day, I can do music full time, which, that would be a dream come true for me. But right now, like I said, football is the thing. I'm doing everything I can to get to that. But that's a little bit about me and kind of my passions. And like I said, if people always tell me, oh, it's a phase, man. You're 19, you got long hair, you do all this, and it's like, nah, dude, I've been doing this since I was about this high, about 4 years old. So yeah, it's a little bit about me and people like Vernon Davis, like you brought up, man. I think that's so cool, and it's important to have that outlet to football because if you just do football, and it's like anything. Like if I were to do music all day long, I'd eventually get burned out and don't want to touch the guitar. Football, you're doing football all day. Eventually, you don't want to look at football for a while. You get a little burned out, as much as you're working in the film room and working out and on the field and that kind of stuff. It's a grind. And so having that, even if it's just a hobby like painting, it's important to have those sort of things off the field to keep your mind fresh, to keep focused on football. Because if you are just football all the time, it's extremely hard to stay focused on it all the time. Eventually, you're going to get burned out. So, for me, I don't really look at it as a hobby just because it's not something I do for fun. I love the guitar. I love music with everything that I have. So, but like the painting thing, that's a great example. And I'm sure there's so many more other examples. And I think that this is why this is great because you're exposing all of these hidden things that, people don't see. People see you in a helmet with a number with a last name. They don't see, oh, wow, Colten can play guitar. Oh, wow, Vernon Davis can paint. So-and-so can I don't know, knit or do something, just crazy things that you would never think that football players could be able to do, they can do. So I think this is why this is great, and I appreciate you having me on, man, and giving me the opportunity to talk about this because I love doing things like this, man, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, from the few times that we've talked, I can honestly tell everyone this guy is as real as it gets. He's so authentic, and he pulls up in his car with as I call them, the Ozzy Osbourne brown sunglasses.
They're black circle sunglasses. That's funny you saw that because I was like, I don't know if you saw those glasses or not. But yeah, I just pulled up in the Ozzy glasses.
No, and that's what I love about not only you and the show is it's like I said, it's an opportunity for athletes to come on and share their stories because
100%.
At some point their career is going to end football wise. And I think it's important for fans to get to know these athletes as people. The long hair, the beanie, the Ozzy sunglasses, it's not a phase, and it's him, and I appreciate that, and we connected with that on music too, because like I was telling you, my first concert was the Rolling Stones.
It's a great first sponsorship.
Huge Rolling Stones fan, huge classic rock fan. I listen to Motley Crue and all those guys too, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. And we're actually in an area right now. I mean, I'm looking at Ted Nugent posters, Willie Nelson posters, a Merle Haggard signed acoustic guitar. There's an electric guitar sitting on my right. So, I mean, this is like a cool little setup for me to be. And I was jamming on the guitar before we started. But yeah, man, that's a great first concert to go to, the Stones, man. I'm sure that was fun.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was at the Georgia Tech football stadium outdoor concert during the summer. So
stadium concerts are so much fun, man. Especially if you play football.
Yeah.
It's like you're like on the field or like you're in the stands. It's a cool experience, man. That's awesome.
It's almost like a 2-for-1. Because you want to visit the stadium because you're a football fan, but then you're also getting to listen to like a legendary band, right? Hall of Fame band.
100%,
so,
man.
no, I think that's awesome. And maybe we can touch on more in a little bit if you want to add anything right now. Or
I'm good, man.
We can segue into the next step, which is what I wanted to talk about next, is kind of finishing up the recruiting process.
Yeah.
Getting towards the end of your high school year, the pandemic unfortunately hit, and everything kind of changed, not only for you, but athletes around the nation in every sport. Kind of walk us through what that was like for you personally, and dealing with that, the non-communication for a little while.
Yeah.
Then you start to get to talk to these coaches, but it's just a completely different format, no visits.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of walk us through that in your journey, because I think it's important for young people and also fans to hear this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Junior year, was the year where coaches can talk to you, send you edits, and do all that sort of stuff. So I got to go to games. It was my junior year. It was of March of my junior year, I believe, when the pandemic really got serious and everything started to kind of shut down. But I kind of, I was blessed enough to be able to go to, I went to Clemson game, I went to the South Carolina game, I went to the Georgia game. I got to go to a bunch of these games before COVID even happened. So it kind of gave me a good idea of some of these places, before COVID happened, which I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that, because I can't imagine, like if I was a year younger and like I can't go on any visits for a while. I kind of squeezed my way right in there right before the pandemic happened. But yeah, man, I junior year, I played junior year. I did well my junior year. Racked up a couple more offers after my junior year, and then like I said, around March was when that kind of pandemic stuff happened, and I had visits lined up to go to and places to get to over the summer, and I was at the point in time where I was going to make a decision soon anyway, but I wanted to get to a couple more places before, kind of like, all right, I'm good, but South Carolina has always been in the top schools for me. It was never a question of like, oh, well, I can't go to these places. Okay, I'm just going to go to South Carolina as like a second option. That's not it at all.
Right.
Not even close. Like I said, South Carolina was always a number one, a number two, number three, always in that area for me. And, it was close to home. It's only about 3 hours away. I got to go see a game in Willie B. People talk about the atmosphere in Willie B. Rightfully so, now that I've been a part of it. I got to experience it for myself. I got to be a part of that, in the stands, and they were playing Kentucky the year that I think it was the 2019 season, and we beat Kentucky, and it was awesome, and it was fireworks going off, and the towels, and sandstorm, the whole nine, and I was like, whoa, dude, like this is, I remember vividly, like fireworks went off, and me and my dad looked at each other, and we were like, what? Like it was just a crazy atmosphere, and so I felt the most comfortable with Carolina after the pandemic was announced, because it's like, okay, well, I don't know what's about to happen. Like you said, there's a lot of, the landscape is about to change dramatically in the next 2 to 3 months. Like kids might start committing left and right because for the same reasons that, I did. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, like, and so, sitting down, I thought long and hard about it. And honestly, I truly believe that even if the pandemic wouldn't have happened, like I would still commit to Carolina. Like that's home for me. So, yeah, I committed to Coach Muschamp and Bobo. And then I was committed all the way through, my senior year and all that. And I can't remember how far out it was, but I think it was about a month out where Muschamp, got fired, and we hired Shane Beamer, and just having great conversations with him before I signed, and ended up signing with, Coach Beamer, and Coach Bobo was still there at the time, and I was there for, I think, like 3 days before Coach Bobo left to go to Auburn. So just that whole experience in itself, new coach, and then, you get in there, and then you think you have an OC, and then he leaves, and then now you're like, okay, well, who's going to coach me my 4 years? That's kind of important, don't you think? So you're kind of sitting there like, okay, what's going to happen? And yeah, just the whole experience in itself, it was a learning curve for sure. But yeah, the coaches didn't do the in-home visits because of COVID. Like I said, I couldn't go to anywhere over the summer. which sucks because, the in-home visits. So that's a cool part of the recruiting process.
Absolutely.
We talked about that the other day. I missed out on some stuff, but, I don't think I'd have it any other way. My process was true to me in my process. And, I'm thankful and blessed to be able to go through that and learn so many things from that process,
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own timeline. And, it's unfortunate that things happen the way they happened in terms of not getting those in-home visits and those personal connections. But at the same time, everything happens for a reason. And you're at South Carolina now. So you signed with South Carolina.
Yep.
Kind of before and during and after we'll get into like the current season, stuff like that. But why South Carolina? You said you were recruited by Muschamp in the beginning, Coach Muschamp, and then at the end, Coach Beamer. Kind of take us through why South Carolina.
Yeah.
Kind of describe the culture.
Yeah.
And then also, what about Coach Beamer and how he has not only, helped you in your first year going to South Carolina, but moving forward, that's kind of put that trust in place for you to stick it out and stay there.
Yeah, I think the best piece of advice that I've ever received was from when I was on a visit at UCF from Mackenzie Melton, and he told me, and this is when he had that big leg injury and all that kind of stuff, and I was out there watching practice, and he's on crutches, and we're talking or whatever, and he looks at me and he's like, "Hey man, like, whatever you do, don't go to a school because of coach. Don't go to a school, for anything." He's like, "Go to a school because you love the place." And he's like, "I'm a prime example of that." He's like, "I came here because I love UCF. I came here because I love the culture. I love the fans. I love the bounce house. I love all this stuff. And look what happened. And I'm not miserable because I love the place. If football was the only thing that I was taking into account when I was thinking about where I was going, I'd be miserable right now because I can't play football. There's nothing I can do." And I got that advice when I was really, really young, and I'm glad that I listened and wasn't stubborn and actually took that into account, because that's how I picked South Carolina. That's it, and that's why I said earlier it's home, because I picked South Carolina because of the fans. Great fans, great atmosphere. We could be 0-12 and it'd still be 87,000 people in there every weekend. It doesn't waver. It doesn't change. And that's huge. That's you don't find that everywhere in college football. Willie B, it's one of a kind, right? Get to experience that in the white towels and sandstorm. It's authentic. It's original. And like you said, I'm authentic and original. Like it attracted me. It was like, well, this is cool. This is a little bit different than most places. The facilities, top 5 in the country. I mean, the facilities are unreal. I'm blessed to be able to wake up and be a part of those and be interactive in those facilities every day and be able to use them. So really, that was like the stake in the ground for me when it came to where do I go to school? And the cherry on top is it's not 10 hours away. It's close to home, which is perfect. And I got a lot of boys that go there, a lot of family that is associated with South Carolina. So really, that was the approach that I took when I was choosing the school. And again, I'm glad I did, because that is the way you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to go because coach is gonna, there's a coach here that you really like, and it's hard because you might really like a coach and you want to commit there, which is great. But like the business of college football is like realistically maybe 3 to 4 years, maybe 5, and that coach that you really like might not be there anymore. That's the landscape of college football. It is a business through and through, and I'm telling you that from experience. It is a business. All the way through. Business. So you have to be business, and you have to choose a school based off what's best for you, and are you going to be miserable going to school there if, God forbid, something happens and you can't play football anymore. So, any young kids listening, like that's the biggest piece of advice that I could give to you is like, go somewhere where you're celebrated, you're not tolerated, where you love the place, you love the fans, you love the facilities, because the facilities ain't going anywhere. They're only going to get better. The stadium sure ain't going to go anywhere. The fans ain't going anywhere. those are the things that are going to stay constant, and that's what you have to hold on to when you're going through the whole process. Because it's hard, man. You have 30 coaches hitting your line, and you're like, what do I do? Where do I go? This is the biggest decision of my life. It's not a 4-year decision. It's a 40-year decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I'm going to go here for a few years. And, like, it's like you get your degree. Like, you got your degree. Like, you go to Georgia Tech and you got an engineering degree, you're going to get a job. Like, it's important.
Yeah.
So, just taking into that whole thing into account, and I think that's the best piece of advice that I could give, and that you can, take and use, man. I think that's huge. And going through the recruiting process, especially at a young age, man. Like you said, like, you're young, man. You're 16 years old, and you got 40-year-old men from all over the country hitting your line, and you're like, where do I go? You don't know, And so, I'm blessed to be able to be where I'm at now, and to take that approach when I was younger, man. I'm glad I did. But yeah, man, the experience was crazy, and like I said, man, that one piece of advice is real important and still applies to me today. So,
I think you hit on some really great points and gave some, not only a great look for fans, a great vision and kind of perception or whatever, however you want to word it.
Yeah.
But also some great advice for younger guys. That was one of my questions that I had for you. You kind of jumped ahead.
Beat you to it.
Is some advice for some of the younger guys. So you get to South Carolina, you're on campus, you start going to classes. Take us through that first home game at Willie B Stadium, which we've heard from Josh Pate at 24/7 Sports talk about it being one of the most underrated atmospheres in all of college football.
Yeah.
I personally agree.
Me too.
You put that stadium in any other conference, and it's the end-all be-all. I think it gets overlooked sometimes in the SEC, but man, that's a place that, as an opponent, you do not want to go to.
No, it's hard, and some of the away games that I got to go to, Texas A&M and Athens are two most notable from my personal experience. I mean, those two places were like, oh my God, dude! Like, what is going? It's like a war out there. Like the lights, like in Athens at night when they have the red lights and boom, 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 boom. It's like gunfire out there. Like there's so much going on, and it's really cool to be a part of that. And then you go and you play a home game, and you're like, dude, it's the same thing. Like our place, like you said, you don't want to come play Willie B away. It's tough. And to answer your question about the first home game, it was a long time coming, man. I really enrolled, so I didn't get there in the summer. I got there. I graduated high school early, so I graduated in December.
Right.
And not even a week later, I'm on campus going to class. It's like, boom.
Yeah.
You're thrown into the fire, man. So the first home game, it was a long time coming, like I said, because, I worked for it all the way through winter, all the way through summer, and then you hit fall camp, and it's like right after fall camp, you're like, dude, I want to get the season going, man. It's like we've been practicing against each other since spring ball. But the first home game, man, it was real special because I just remember running out of the tunnel and kind of looking back at the spot where I sat a few years ago before, and I was like, man, this is like, wow, I'm here. Like, I was watching players run out of the tunnel before. Now I'm looking back at the same spot I was sitting at in the recruit section. Like, I was up there a year ago. This was crazy. And so, it was a special moment for me, and I try not to let the moment get too big. And I ended up getting, a couple of drives at the end of the game, which is just really cool, kind of getting to run an SEC offense. It doesn't matter who you play or what the score is, just going out there to operate the offense. I didn't really look at any of that stuff. I was just going out there and trying to do my job and have fun, man. But getting that experience, man, it's really cool. And, I think some people take that for granted, but I never do. Every time I go out on the stadium or I'm at an away game, I always, before, we run out of the tunnel, just kind of take a look around and take it in. Because when I'm 60 years old, looking back at all these times, man, that's what I'm going to remember. I'm not going to remember, how did spring practice number 9 go? Well, I don't know. Like, I'm going to remember, like, going to A&M and, like, whoa. Or going, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to remember those things. Not how practice 3 of spring ball or 4 of fall camp went. Like, it's important, don't get me wrong, but those are the things that I remember. So I try and really hone in on those things and take those things in, man, because you only get to do it once, man. 4 years, I remember sitting in, seats and seniors in high school would tell me, your 4 years are going to go by quick. And I was like, man, get out of here. I got 4 years. I'm good. No. I'm already a sophomore in college, redshirt freshman, but I've already done a year and a half of school already. And I'm like, whoa. It's going, man. It's going quick. So you don't want to let it pass you by and be like, man, I should have done this, should have, would have, could have, right? I mean, it's cliche, but it's cliche for a reason. You hear it all the time. I don't want to be one of those guys, shoulda, woulda, coulda guys, I want to be able to do everything I can do now and just take it all in, man, and just enjoy the ride while it lasts,
Absolutely. And, you touched on another great point in terms of you go through all these spring practices, all these, off-season workouts, all for 11, 12, 13
weeks,
just days, the games,
And the
it's 13,
it's not even guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, right?
Yeah, and so it builds up to that one moment, and I think it's cool that you see it from that aspect. Obviously you got a mindset going into the game. You got to be ready to go in at any moment, and you got to be ready to fight for your team and win those games. But to be able to enjoy, the atmosphere, your home fans at Lily B. As they are waving those towels, USC, USC. I think it gives me chills when I watch it.
Me both.
It's definitely a place that I'm gonna try to visit this year. I'm gonna try to make my way up there at some point. So moving into this upcoming season, kind of take us through your goals, personal goals as a quarterback, and also maybe if you can share some of the team goals. Y'all, obviously playing the SEC, it's never easy for anyone, but y'all do have some tough opponents at home, like Georgia, like A&M. Y'all play on the road at Florida later on in the season. Y'all have to play Arkansas and Fayetteville early on, so that's going to be a good test for y'all. Kind of walk us through your goals for the 2022 season and what some of the team goals are as well.
Yeah, I think, on a personal level, I think it's just continuing just to learn. Like, if you follow anything about football, we run a pro-style offense, meaning like we run an NFL offense. So, the verbiage and everything is, it's on the more complicated scale of offenses that you can run at the college level. So I'm still young, man. I'm only 19 still. So, like, people think, it's immediate, instantaneous success, right? It's not. It's, you plant a bamboo seed, it takes 3 years for it to shoot up 9 feet in a matter of 2 months, right? But you keep watering it because eventually it's going to one day. So that's the mentality I take to my personal life on and off the field. Is it's a bamboo plant, man. It's a bamboo plant. It's not instantaneous, especially when it comes to football. I see so many people that I know that are younger than me that I played with that in high school that, are having some success now. And it's like they want everything right now. And it's like I try and keep those guys on a level head. Like, listen, man, it's like I said earlier, it's a business, man. It's you got to stay focused and you got to stay humble and you got to keep working because it's not going to happen in 1 year. Now, it might happen in 1 year. Some dudes are just like that, and it just happens in 1 year. But everybody, like you said earlier, and like I said earlier, everybody's process is different. You look at guys like Joe Burrow, who rode the bench for 4 years behind J.T. Barrett and those dudes at Ohio State. And then he goes to LSU his first year that he played at LSU. He did all right. He was going to get drafted, 5th, 6th round. And then 1 year changes his whole life.
Yeah.
Like, it happens all the time. Kyle Trask, rode the bench for 4 years. And then he played a few years. Boom. Drafted. Millionaire. See you later. Like, Justin Herbert in high school. I used to watch Justin Herbert highlights all the time. Like, in high school, he was just long and awkward and stumpy. And then he gets to college and, when he gets older, he was 21, 22, and he really starts to ball out. It takes time, especially at the quarterback position, and especially if you're on an NFL-type offense. So as far as personal goals go, it's just really just to stay grounded and to keep going through the process, man. it's a long process, and it's called a process for a reason. You know, that word gets thrown around all the time, but I mean, it's what it is. It's a process because it takes time. That's what a process is. If it was instant, it would be called instant. It's not. It's called process for a reason.
Right.
As far as, team goals go, like you said, we play in the SEC, so everything is 1 week at a one week, 1 day at a time. Because if you try and look, we play Georgia State first game at home, let's start worrying about Arkansas. Georgia State ain't no joke. Like, they got some dudes on that team. It's a D1 college football team. It's legit. Like, it's not, anything like that. So we, as far as team goals go, we like to take it one week at a time, and ultimately we're on the road to the SEC championship, man. First time since, I can't remember. I think it was like 09, 10 maybe, with Steven Garcia. Shout out Steven Garcia for looking at this, man. That's my dude. Yeah, man, like I said, like as far as team goals go, we like to keep it just 1 day, 1 week at a time. And we continue to work. I'm about to go back up there for summer workouts, and that's when, we kick back off and get the ball rolling again. And, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm sure the guys are too, and the coaches are. And summer's hard work. We don't get summers off. We're up there working. So, I'm excited, looking forward to that. But like I said, we're going to be tested early this year, which is a good thing. You want to be tested early. You don't want to play 4 teams that you have a W for, and then you go play Georgia in Athens your 5th week, and it's like, what happened? Being tested early is a good thing. So, we're going to work hard this summer and into fall camp and prepare as hard as we can, and then just go out there and ball, see what happens.
Absolutely, and I think that y'all have a great chance of success this year. For y'all Gamecock fans out there, your future's in great hands with this guy. No matter what happens, he's on and off the field, just a super authentic guy. And I'm excited for y'all. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch y'all this fall.
Me too.
So
fun, man.
Absolutely, and best of luck to y'all as well.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned a few times during the show, life is a lot more than football.
Yeah.
Talked about you and your guitar.
Yeah.
And people having their gigs off the field, and a big part of Nate State and why I started it, because I had a college football show before I started Nate State. Never had one single player on. It was just me and my co-host D. Shout out D if you're watching this. Great guy. But I wanted to do something else. I wanted to have a show that was much more than just an everyday college football show, just like the Josh Pates and the College Game Days. And because of my personal story, and I'll get into it a little bit.
This dude's been through a thing or two. That's why I'm here.
And I appreciate it, And Colten and I have had some great discussions on what we want to do moving forward with the brand, and we'll talk about that in a second. But just to give you a little background on myself, I had a stroke when I was 10 months old, and had 3 open heart surgeries by the time I was 2 years old, one being a heart transplant. And I'm proud to say that I'm coming up on 25, so coming up on 23 years of having my heart transplant. And so with this platform that I have now, I want to be able to give back to the place that gave me so much, which is Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, along with every other children's hospital around the nation. If you're watching, we'd love to partner with you. I'm going to try to reach out to the Children's Hospital in Charleston, I told you, since it's close to South Carolina, so maybe we can do some stuff with them.
Yeah.
So during the summer, we're going to bring on players like Colten and many other guys, as many as they want to come on. You're more than welcome to come on and join our team here at Nate State, hook you up with some merch and treat you well. During the fall, I want to have a college pick'em show where I partner with children's hospitals from around the nation and bring on kids who are battling diseases, life-threatening illnesses and diseases like I once was, and just sit down with them and talk football, pick the games, pick their favorite team, and partner with Colten in South Carolina, along with hopefully many other teams that will get involved to, send these kids a quick video of encouragement, send them a signed football, whatever we can do to make their day, because I can tell you from personal experience having Colten on and doing this, I mean, this is the best experience ever. It truly is. And it's something I'm super passionate about. And with that being said, with the new NIL deal, I think a lot of people on the outside get a negative taste in their mouth sometimes. But I also see a great opportunity to help those in need. And I'll let Colten kind of share, what he wants to do. And again, there's some things that are still in the works, some things that we're going to figure out, and I'll keep all of y'all updated on it. But Colten and I are going to partner together, and we're gonna donate jersey sales and maybe even do. I haven't mentioned to him yet, but maybe do like a merchandise line with Colten's logo or face on it with the Nate State brand. We'll figure all the details out later on, but if you want to share anything about your NIL experience and things like that.
Everything you just said, that's for me a big part of why I do it. This dude's been through hell and back, adversity left and right, and we tend to forget, like, as football players and people of have a great influence on younger kids. Like my favorite thing to do, it's not to throw touchdowns and do all this stuff. It's like little kids come up to me and they want me to sign their football for them. It's like, dude, I love that stuff. And like I was telling you, like little kids are starting to come up to me and ask me who my favorite band is and who my favorite guitar player is. Like I think that's so sick. I love that. And just seeing the look on those kids' faces after you sign something or take a picture with them, like their whole childhood is almost made. And you could say that from experience. I mean, this dude was a Make-A-Wish kid and went to the Pro Bowl and everything. From the other side of literally me, like how much it means to kids who are going through tough times and stuff like that. And you touched on it, man. Like I'm trying to we're working something out right now where, the NIL deal thing where you can now make money off your jersey sales, where I'm, thinking about doing something for, St. Jude's or a local, cancer foundation in Columbia and your foundation that you want to start, and just giving back like you want to, man. I just want to give back as much as I can. If I can, if me signing something for a kid makes that kid happy and gives him something to hold on to, I'm all for it. And that's what I'm all about. That's the way I was raised, and I have a big heart, and I love doing things like that for kids and stuff like that. So everything you said, man, I don't want to make this about my NIL opportunities. This is about giving back, and so I'm all on board for it, man. Dude, I appreciate that, man. That's awesome. That's good stuff right there.
Well, I appreciate your honesty and your willingness to help me, and to all of you out there. I personally would love for y'all to be a part of my team here at Nate State. If any of y'all have connections with some of these hospitals, or you're playing college football and you want to come be on the show and get involved, and surprise these kids, and any way that you can help, I just want to touch on this real quick. Being a part of something when you're going through that is all you want.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and I know I'm speaking for everyone who's been going through life illnesses and sickness as kids, you just want to be a part of a team.
Yeah.
And I would love for all of y'all to be a part of my team here at Nate State. I know Colten's all in. DM me and I'll plug my social at Nate State _. You can also reach me on my personal social account at Nate JOHNSTON _ and or reach out to Colten. Colten, if you want to plug your social media real quick.
Yeah, Colten Gauthier on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me there, I'm open. My DMs are open. And like you said, man, I'm excited to be a part of this, man. Everything that we talked about, big time, dude. It's big time. Making an impact on people's lives and giving those kids something to hold on to, man. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, man. So,
if you're watching this, give this video a big thumbs up. If you're a big South Carolina fan, comment down below and go show Colten some love. And I really appreciate you being on, man. And good luck to y'all this season.
Dude. Yeah.
And also comment down below who you would like to see on the show next. be talking with Colton, seeing who we can get on next. So until the next episode, this is Nate State. College football starts here.
Peace. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Good.
Dude.
Appreciate it, man.
Always, man. That was awesome.